Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome to Tal'Darim Altar, which is no doubt going to be the venue for a fantastic matchup between Zerg, he is in the blue trunks, and he is playing the race that you should probably know by now, versus his opponent, the one and only Mousesports MaNa. He is in the red trunks, and he is playing Protoss to the northwest. Well, 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 this has turned out into quite the series. I think a lot of people were perhaps expecting Zerg to annihilate his opponent. This is not happening this time around. Not under any circumstances. MaNa's been doing really well, but the Crossfire is such a difficult map for him. It was really difficult to secure anything beyond that third base, and as you saw, that third base was definitely not secure to begin with. Once those roaches came down in it, there was really no stopping it, and I guess that's probably the reason that a lot of people don't like Crossfire, and I don't really blame them for that. Tal'Darim Altar, a much better map in that regard. Several easily defended expansions, and a lot of possible opportunities. You've also got this nice choke point right here. It's not on a ramp, but it's still a good choke point you can set up. MaNa Forge Fast Expansion would be my prediction right here, due to the positioning of this pylon. There it is. So MaNa will be expanding behind that directly. I would also think that July might consider that, but it doesn't look like he's going to do that. He's going for the extractor. He just is not deviating from this build of his. He's got a very well-practiced build. Extremely well. Spawning pool coming down right here for Zerg, and we are looking to see the expansion timing from him. Forge is up. Now MaNa will most likely try and save some money very quickly for his expansion. Single probe hanging around, just waiting, chilling. Looking for the expansion very shortly as my mouse goes berserk. There we go. Zerg with the spawning pool on the way up and looking to expand shortly, I can only imagine. It would make sense considering the map. Takes a little bit of time to get an expansion up with the Forge Fast Expand build, but the Forge allows you to place down cannons to deal with any kind of early rush. So it's a nice build, it's very solid. MaNa's actually going to try and deny the expansion from his opponent July, and July actually not going for the expansion now. He's going to open up with some Zerglings first. He's no doubt already well aware that this is the case. I believe he flew over there, so that shouldn't be a problem. He's probably spotted that probe right there. Gateway coming down right now for Mousesports MaNa, and there's the Nexus on its way up to complete this Forge Fast expansion. It's a really, really good map to use this build on. It's a very popular build against Zerg as well. You can wall off quite nicely against any kind of early Zergling pressure, and it takes quite a few roaches to crack that kind of defense, so you've got plenty of time to respond. There is the expansion right here for July. Streaming forward with 4 Zerglings, looking to see what it can see. We've only got 17 probes up here for Mousesports MaNa. It's going to take him a little bit of time to get that count up, needless to say. Very significant initial investment in that Forge, and in the Nexus as well, Gateway at the front. And there you go, that is MaNa's wall-off right there. Going to be able to deny scouting entirely unless a Overlord gets sacrificed. July will be repositioning his Overlords to try and make that happen. Seeing what kind of information he can get. And now the real question is, what does MaNa decide to do behind the wall? Stargate player possibility on Tal'Darim Altar. We've seen that be very, very successful. We'll see if he decides to deviate. I mean, he already has deviated from his standard build, so it wouldn't surprise me to see him do so again. Another expansion. That's incredibly quick right there for Zerg. 5 minutes, 15 seconds, going into yet another base. Of course, he knows that his opponent has expanded rapidly, so it would make sense to do so. And MaNa lacks any kind of offensive force. Army supply for both is non-existent, to say the least. Mousesports MaNa is going to be hard-pressed to win this one. I have to feel that, despite his earlier victory. I think any victory against Zerg should be considered difficult, certainly. That second game, the map really didn't favor him, honestly. I think he's much more comfortable on Tal'Darim Altar. See how he defends against this one. He's got 2 photon cannons coming up. Still not building any units of any description. Working entirely on his economy. No more gateways, just a single gate. Pylon going down there. As I say, we'll see whether or not he decides to go for more gateway play, or possibly into Stargate. So just going for Warp Gate right now. I would think a couple more gateways will be added on shortly. There's the Overlord for Zerg. And he should be able to, well, he already knows the expansion timing. See what kind of information he can get without being sniped off. Now, as it turns out, It's going to have to be the sentries that do that. July Zerg turning around. He'll be able to escape from that very, very easily. 2 more gateways being added on right here. 3 more gateways. It's not an aggressive set of gateways, though. Just trying to build up his economy, getting his army into a nice situation. And July Zerg with the upgrade to the lair, nice and quick. July Zerg feels absolutely no need to go in right now. And I don't really blame him. There's no point. You're throwing your units away. Robotics facility, follow that one up for MaNa, so 4 gateways and robotics. Plenty of options there, ready to adapt to his opponent. The Mousesport's MaNa, his wall is extremely strong right now. It's going to be difficult to break. Of course, he can't do it with Zerglings, it's just not going to happen. Which is why July Zerg is just not building an army right now. In fact, if you look at it, its army supply count is 2 to 6. So in other words, there's barely an army. They're both racing to try and get the biggest worker count. And of course, that's in favor of July because he's got those queens and he's got 3 hatcheries fully operational. 1 queen on each. 44 probes right now for Mousesport's MaNa. Roach Woman on its way up for July Zerg right now. And MaNa holding this as best as he can. He doesn't need to worry right now. He's absolutely no worries at all. Not for the moment, anyway. The Spire comes for the follow-up. Now, Mutalisks are a possibility, but they're not amazingly common in PvT, or PvZ even. They're certainly definitely not common in PvT, that I can tell you for a fact. Free Overseer, kill for MaNa right there. Nice play, easily done. So we'll see what he decides to do with the Spire. I mean, Mutalisks are a possibility, certainly, but it's not that common to see. I can only imagine he's building the Spire in preparation for this right here. Now, what kind of scouting information did he really gain? Saw the 3 gates, he did not see the robotics bay. More to the point, did he see the facility? No, he did not, because it's right there. MaNa taking a couple of pot shots at his cybernetics core right now. He's going to have to break through something. Changeling coming in right there from July. No, absolutely not. The problem with Changelings, I suppose, is at the absolute pro level, it really is absolutely impossible to not see them. So, MaNa blowing up his own cybernetics core right here. There is a reason for that. He doesn't need it anymore, and he needs to actually get out of his base, since he walled himself off this entire time. In the meantime, what has July Zerg been doing in the background? You can see there, hatchery coming down. He's looking to get a 2-base lead on his opponent. A good, solid, and sensible play. MaNa, by the looks of it, is going to be looking to expand. July Zerg has a massive amount of money. He's actually going Mutalisk, which is a massive deviation from what he usually does in this Protoss versus Zerg matchup. He's been going primarily Hydralisks, Roaches, and of course, Zerglings as well. To go Mutalisks is a major turnaround. Now, Mutalisk could be fairly effective. The map is very, very large. There are plenty of opportunities for attack, plenty of angles to go in. MaNa does have a lot of ground firepower available. Extended Thermal Lancers on its way, as is the Colossus. Baneling Nest to follow that one up, and that's actually a macro hatchery at the front right there. He's building that one specifically to get more larvae and nothing more. That's his only reason. Once again, MaNa are able to snipe off an Overlord. MaNa looking fairly secure right now. I would be concerned, though, because July Zerg has been doing very, very little, and July Zerg lurks. Here we go. Here's the harassment coming in from the Mutalisks, and something that MaNa was absolutely not prepared for. Good damage coming in right here, and MaNa looking to try and drive those Mutalisks out of there, but it's still picking off a good number of products. Look at that. July Zerg's actually killed 11 workers already. Excellent harassment there by July Zerg, without a shadow of a doubt. Very, very good indeed. And now the difference in economy is quite staggering. We're looking at 70 drones to 57 probes, now 58. And this expansion from July looks unthreatened. MaNa looking to get together a nice big death ball in order to push out, try and do damage to some of July Zerg's expansions. My concern is that if he waits too long, he's not going to be able to do that. MaNa playing very, very passively, very defensively. He's using a lot of his money on photon cannons, which I have to assume is what July Zerg wants him to do. Static defenses are perfect. And the reason they're perfect for July Zerg is, of course, because July Zerg is looking to make sure that MaNa's army is as small as possible. Banelings on the way right here for July Zerg. It looks like he feels like he needs to do a bit of damage to this wall, and I can hardly blame him. Doesn't have Ventral Sacks, so he's not going to be dropping them quite yet. Upgrades coming in. He's really been very, very short on the upgrades up until this point. He hasn't bothered with it. He feels like he doesn't need it. Level 2 attack upgrade coming in for, on the other hand, MaNa. Infestation Pit on the way up as well. The army supply count is looking very good for July Zerg right now, extremely. And he's got a Spore Crawler going up, just to make sure there's no Dire Templar play coming in. Looks to take out the Pylon, and nicely met there by MaNa, repelling those Mutalisks with the greatest of ease. MaNa is only just taking his third right now, and Jelizerg has a fully saturated fourth base, and this is something that I consider to be a problem. Jelizerg using the Mutalisks in the same way that you would in a Zerg versus Terran matchup. That being to limit the mobility of your opponent, to harass, and there's a quick warp in by MaNa. He needs to get it there immediately, but look at this, he's actually lured him out of position. It's not quite good enough, however. MaNa responds nicely, a force field and Colossus right there, but that's a lot of Zerglings now coming down and denying the third base of MaNa. Jelizerg gets away with minimal casualties as well, and this really is a starvation tactic. Jelizerg is just trying to lay siege to his opponent, deny those expansions. MaNa can't even get up a third right now. He's trapped in his base. Jelizerg has punished him completely for this passive play, this defensive play. He's expanded all over the map, 4 fully saturated bases. We can have a look at the income comparison. That will tell the story for you. As you can see right there, good mineral count coming in. Very, very good. Pathogen glands upgrades coming up as well. We're looking for Infestors to follow up. No sign of Neural Parasite as of yet. Don't really think he needs it. This Baneling count is getting kind of terrifying. 18 Banelings and another 16 to follow that one up. A lot of Mutalisks on as well. This is fairly unusual, really, simply because this is the kind of build that you'd usually use in a Zerg versus Terran. It's Mutaling. Zerglings, Banelings, and there we go. A quick engagement right here by MaNa. Looks for the surround. And the Banelings did get in there. He actually doesn't have Baneling speed, so I don't know how effective this is really going to be. Force Field's denying that very, very easily. And this, of course, being the reason that you generally don't do this. Good fallback force fields right here, but those Mutalisks are actually tearing it up right now. Great damage. 1 Colossus down in a second. There's 18 in the field. Baneling detonation right now as MaNa allows his macro and micro, in fact, to slip just a little bit. MaNa falling back as much as he can, but those Mutas are tearing up the Stalkers, which is incredibly unusual. Usually you don't throw your Mutas in directly at those Stalkers, but he did a lot of damage. And look at the army supply difference right now. It's massive, 104 to 40. 2 more bases coming up for Jelizerg. 6 bases, 5 expansions, plus a macro hatchery, because, hey, everyone loves a macro hatchery. And I would like to just point out that Jelizerg appears to have built 157 Zerglings. That's a lot of frickin' Zerglings. And the Colossus count is really low. He's going to get swamped right here. The Colossus taken out incredibly rapidly. It stays alive just, but look at the swarm right here. What a strategy right here from Jelizerg. It's called kill your opponent with everything I've got. Here it comes, 105 Zerglings swarming in all over MaNa right now. His army getting torn into shreds. That's the third denied again. Nothing will be mined from there, ever, in this matchup. It's just not going to happen. MaNa's doing that, a nice force field, very, very quick right there. The Colossus starting to clean things up. However, there are so many Zerglings. He's ramming his way through the wall with sheer brute force. More Zerglings coming in, being built, repeated over and over and over again. Adrenal Glands, another great force field right there. So many dead Zerglings right here. MaNa holds it, unbelievably. God knows how. I'm a little worried, however, about that. 54 Banelings from July coming in right here. MaNa has lost the majority of his wall, and he doesn't have any sentries. I have this feeling this is probably only going to end one way. Don't know where I'm getting that impression from, but really, I don't think this is going to hold somehow. That's the army supply count difference. That's the Baneling count. Huge numbers of Banelings taken out at that, but it doesn't really matter as he rams his way through the defenses of MaNa. MaNa really didn't have anything to really deal with that. Most of those units, of course, have been lost, but it doesn't matter because Jelizerg has such a great economy right now. And once again, Jelizerg says, no, you cannot have this third. It's not going to happen. Here's the second wave coming in. Most of the defenses of MaNa have been annihilated. 63 to 14 right there. Work supply count for MaNa has fallen like a rock. A quick blink out right there, trying to evade as much as possible, but really trying to deal with this many Zerglings is going to be incredibly difficult. Holds it as much as he can right here. He's trying his best. More warpins coming in. Photon cannon fire. GG, ladies and gentlemen. He tried his best, but